Thanks for being here. And I wanted to talk about our Apple iBook. And what's happening in Ohio right now is we have the convergence of a couple of events. We've got millions of students going back to school this fall, and we have a presidential election in the country's most important swing state. And we're bringing these two issues together in a constructive way by announcing our pathway to the presidency Apple iBook. And what I wanted to share with you about that is that, I mean, it's a really cool tool. It just frankly is. There are 5 chapters in the iBook. They look back at the history of our former Ohio presidents, the process for electing a president, the Ohio demographics and overview so you can really understand the mechanics of elections and who are the voters of Ohio. We'll take a peek at the 2016 presidential election, and then there's a really cool feature on it, which is a live election night feed so that people can follow the results as they come in. As they're coming into the Secretary of State's office, you will be able to view them live. My favorite aspect of this is the cost. It's free to everybody. You can go on to Apple iTunes or iBook, download it at no cost. And thanks to Jason, it was done at no cost to the taxpayers as well. And as we're working this fall to get the word out, we're going to be talking with schools and educators around the state so that students, that we can get this in the hands of students across Ohio, or anybody that's interested. Frankly, as I was looking through it, I learned a lot of new things about Ohio's history and the history of the presidency and the history of presidential elections in Ohio. And I know oftentimes history gets a bad rap of being boring. Well, this is not boring. If I'd had this kind of tool when I was in high school, I probably would have done a lot better and enjoyed it a lot more. So with that, I want to introduce Todd Kleismith from the Ohio History Connection, who will share some perspective about this new tool.
Well, good morning. As Secretary Husted said, my name is Todd Kleismith. I'm the Director of Community and Government Relations at the Ohio History Connection. And I really just mainly want to thank the Secretary's staff for allowing the Ohio History Connection to contribute to this project, which we think is just a magnificent educational tool. I think I share Secretary Husted's perspective that I wish that this kind of tool would have been available when I was in school. So we think it's just a really very high quality product. I think you're about to see that for yourself. We're very impressed with the attention to detail, the interactivity, and the comprehensive scope. You're going to see maps, you're going to see music incorporated, you're going to see historical objects incorporated. So we're just so glad to help contribute to this project. It's a very creative way to reach students, and we're glad to be part of it. So with that, we often say that Ohio is a content-rich environment when it comes to history, and this is a great example of that. So with that, we hope that this will help spark some interest in Ohio history and the presidency and the elections. So we just think that this is a great project. I think you're going to agree. So with that, thank you, Secretary Husted.
Thank you. And now it's my pleasure to introduce the man who helped make this happen, Jason LaMar. Jason is an administrator with the Digital Education and Instructional Services Division of Columbus State Community College, and he's also a 2014 graduate at the Apple Academy in Cupertino, where he received a certification as the Apple Foundation, as an Apple Foundation's trainer. So the man who's going to give you the tour and who's behind the technology that brought this to you, Jason LaMar.
Thank you, Secretary Husted. So let me just dive right into the book. Apple calls this a multi-touch book, and there's a good reason for that. What this platform provides is a way through audio and video and tactile interaction with the content to really elevate this from passive readership to active engagement. You really participate in the content rather than just being a passive viewer of it. And so when you first get into the iBook, this is the table of contents, believe it or not. This looks more like a website probably, and that's on purpose. Again, we're trying to make this really engaging, especially for K-12 students. And so as you see, as Secretary Husted laid it out, there are 5 chapters contained in the book. And each one of those dots on the map there on the right, you can tap on that, and it shows a great picture of the state of Ohio, a beautiful picture of Marblehead Lighthouse, for example. And this is the first chapter, which is a look back, a historical context of past Ohio presidents. As Todd mentioned, there are a lot of great interactive elements as well. On the very first page, you see this historical U.S. presidential elections map. The little hand icon there means you can tap on it, interact with it. And here from 1964 to 2012, you tap on each year, and it shows how the country voted. A very nice, clear, simple, visual graphic. And then we also have on the left there the results from both the Electoral College and the popular vote. So you can go through the last 40 years of elections and see that in each case, you'll notice that Ohio picked the winner. Ohio has picked the winner every election since 1964, greatly contributing, I think, to our swing state status. And then the Ohio presidents, there are actually 8 presidents from Ohio, if you didn't know that. Ohio's produced more U.S. presidents than any other state. We earned the nickname the mother of presidents for that reason. And so as you go through, there is a biography, a mini biography of each president. For example, Ulysses S. Grant, one of our most famous presidents probably. And you see that there's some text there that's actually blue and underlined. That's tactile, that's interactive text. You tap on that and you get into a pop-up glossary. There's actually a fairly extensive glossary of terms here. People, places, things that relate to the various biographies of the presidents. So if you don't know what the French and Indian War is, which I didn't when I started making this book, you can pop up right there and see a quick explanation of what that is. Something else that was mentioned was the audio pieces of the multi-touch book. And this is a great example right here. Each president, we have a political campaign song from that year. We were very fortunate that the Smithsonian Folkways record label, which is the record label of the Smithsonian Institution, graciously let us use folk recordings of these presidential campaign songs. They're sometimes amusing, sometimes confusing, but always interesting.
And sometimes really monotonous.
Really monotonous, yes. So for every single president, we have the presidential campaign song, really a fun little item that you probably never think of, but every president going back to William Henry Harrison in 1896 had their own presidential campaign song.
I would recommend Tippecanoe and Tyler too.
Yes, that was great. Oldie but goodie. And then with Edison's invention in the late 19th century of the phonograph, Benjamin Harrison from Ohio was the first president to have an audio recording made of his voice. And so here we have that, and then all presidents forward from Benjamin Harrison, we also have recordings of them giving various speeches, stump speeches, speeches to different groups. So it's yet another way to really engage, really make a human connection, a personal connection with each president. One of my favorite features of the book is called the Presidential Desk. This is an interactive feature where it mimics an executive desk, and on each desk for each president, there are several artifacts. We called these from various sources, including Ohio History Connection. Thank you, Todd. Here's an example here. You tap on one of the artifacts, and it gives a little vignette, a little narrative about what that artifact means. So we have items from Ohio History Connection, from the National Archives, and from the Library of Congress, plus a variety of other sources that really give you, not only are you somewhat touching virtually the artifact that's related to the president, but you also get a fascinating little story that brings more insight into the person. At the end of the first 3 chapters of the book, there are also interactive quizzes. So no, this is not for a grade, but just to see if you've really been paying attention while you've been going through the iBook. It's yet another way to really engage the reader, the user. And so there are a couple of quizzes for the presidents, as well as for Ohio demographics, and then the Electoral College as well. So section 2, electing the president. This is really focusing on the Electoral College. And here we have yet another interactive map. This time, rather than the nation, it's a county-by-county breakdown of how Ohio voted in every election from 1964 to 2012. And what you see there, the different shades, indicates the margin of victory in that county, either Republican or Democrat. So it's a great way just to tap through all the years and see how Ohio specifically voted in each presidential election. And of course, we also have some fantastic online resources, thanks to the Secretary of State's office, for absentee voting, voter registration, election day procedures, and provisional voting, and those sorts of things.